guest is an award-winning and best-selling writer and author of acclaimed books such as White Teeth, On Beauty, NW, The Fraud, and Grand Union. Her latest, Dead and Alive, is an essay collection which will be published tomorrow everywhere books are sold. Please welcome to the show the magnificent Zadie Smith, everybody. Hello, friend. How are you?
I'm good.
I've been trying to get you to do this for almost 12 years.
That is correct.
And you have always made it very clear you had no interest.
I love seeing you on the street.
Yes.
I like to have a conversation outside of school. I just thought on television seemed unnecessary.
Yes.
But here we are.
But I've always appreciated your honesty, and I want to thank whoever bullied you into this moment.
Yes.
But you mentioned we used to see each other in the street. We live nearby each other in New York City. It always delighted me. But you have moved back to London.
I have.
But are you happy at least to come back to New York City for a little visit?
I love to be in New York. Like, a lot of people leave New York and they make a big song and dance about how it was the right thing for them and it was great and it was terrific. I long to be here. But I think I have... There's certain New York attitudes I've taken to London which aren't helpful for me in London.
What are some of the things you adopted that you brought back that they're not happy about?
Like, no one is going to give me a green juice at 10:30 p.m. in London. They don't know what a green juice is.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it at 10:30.
Right.
And they're not going to do it with any speed. So all of that is... Like, you've got to put it aside.
Yeah. Speaking of speed, you've mentioned before, like, you had to change your walking speed when you came to New York City.
Yeah.
What would you describe as the difference between the walking speeds in the two cities?
If I stopped for half a second on Broadway, someone behind me is like, "Lady!"
Yeah, they treat you like a car. Yeah.
Okay. Same in elevators. Same in where there's any pause, someone's behind you screaming, "Lady." In London, I kept moving like that. I think people think I'm a sociopath. No, There's no need to move that fast. So it's just about calibrating.
There's a love letter of sorts to New York City in this collection of essays where you talk about, and I've had moments like these before as well, where everybody is racing in this city and everyone is exactly as in a rush as everybody else. But in moments where, like, a small moment of peril happens, the city actually, like, comes together pretty quickly. And you saw, like, a wheel come off a baby stroller?
Yeah, and everybody comes in that moment. Everybody helps. They pick up, they get the baby, they get the carriage. But then if you try and say thank you, they're, like, out of there. They don't want to have any discussions. They don't want it to be elaborated.
Yeah.
And I think I had a lot of arguments with my husband when we were living here, because he's a country boy. And the country thing is, you know, people know you. After an accident like that, they're like, "Come in, have a coffee. I know your aunt." But I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I am a New Yorker. I want to help and be gone. And I like the freedom. I like the anonymity here. It suits me.
That's what I feel like my wife is someone who always says, like, she feels the most grounded when, like, her like bare feet are on grass.
Yeah.
Whereas I just feel like I want shoes, socks, pavement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like, I just feel very at home and very safe.
I'm born and bred, and I saw Amelia on here a few days ago. She's another Londoner.
Yeah.
You seem surprised that she couldn't drive.
Yeah.
None of us can drive. Yeah. That's a citywide issue.
Right. You never.
No.
So you still can't drive?
I learned this year.
Okay. And how'd it go?
I failed 3 times. I passed finally, but on the 3rd time, obviously I'd already failed. I was feeling sad about it, and I didn't look as I opened the door to get out, and a van just took the door off the car. And it's the driving instructor's car. So I had to hold the door and just went home in silence like this.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
I guess after the door comes off, you're not like, how'd I do?
No, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. So that's a normal experience.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. I will not judge anymore. In the last, I guess, year alone, correct me if I'm wrong, a book of essays, short story collection, novel, play.
There was a play, yeah.
But the play, you did not set out to write a play, and I have to be honest, Zadie, a lot of people don't sort of accidentally write one.
That was an issue of timing. I had agreed with my little local theatre to translate a tiny bit of the Canterbury Tales.
Okay.
A really small bit. And then I got on a plane to Australia, which, as you know, is a day and a night. And in that day and a night, I think some kind of local paper asked the theatre, someone at the theatre said, "Oh, she's doing the Canterbury Tales as a play." Then that local paper told the London press, and I got to Australia and I was writing a play. And I phoned my agent, I was like, "But obviously I don't have to write a play." And she's like, "I don't know, it's like all over the internet, it's in every paper." you might just have to write that play. So that's what happens.
Oh my God. No, because I think a lot of people see a prolific writer and they think, oh my God, you must be so good at self-motivating yourself. But it turns out you just accidentally end up writing
That was definitely
plays.
an accident. And I need someone to tell me to write something. Like, this book is mostly people saying, do this. It's like homework.
Yeah.
I'm not really a self-starter.
I think, yeah, because a lot of these, these were, magazine articles
Yeah.
or speeches you gave. And so ultimately, I mean, it's sort of the way I feel. Like, I've been very lucky that, like, the first half of my career was like everything has to be written by Saturday.
Right.
And now it's like everything has to be written by tonight. And I find that very helpful.
In the same building.
Yeah.
Continuity.
Yeah, I don't want to have to learn new elevators and stuff. There was something in here which I was very taken with, which is you talk about, I feel like there's a saying that writers hear all the time, which is, especially young writers, which is write what you know.
Yes.
And how you sort of feel like that's incredibly like limiting and probably sort of bad advice.
I wouldn't put it as broadly as that, because what you know is what's close to you, for
Right.
sure. But part of what we do, I think of us on a continuum with actors, comedians. I mean, certainly writers are very low in the show. We're like ventriloquists. We're like low in the showbiz
I'm so glad
hierarchy.
you said it. I'm so glad you said it.
We're barely show people. But the instinct is the same. It's like a deep want to repeat voices, to make voices.
Yeah.
I used to come and watch SNL all the time. My brother's a comedian. And I think of that as cousin arts. Like, you hear voices, essentially. You want to repeat them, you want to make them, you're curious about them. And if you have familiarity with them, that helps. But it's not, for me, it's not everything. My own voice, you can hear it. I get bored.
But also you mentioned you're not a show person, but you are a singer.
I used to be a singer a little bit.
Okay, so what does a little bit mean?
Well, originally, I used to do like show tunes. I was obsessed with This City and Broadway, and so I did show tunes and Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday. But the only place I was young, I was like 15, 16, so I would do it in old people's homes.
Oh, you would go to
Yeah. And what you realise is that there's no consent in that situation, right? Like,
right.
They didn't ask for me to come and sing like New York, New York in their face. They're just sitting there.
And would you do it, but were you part of a group or were you on your own?
No, it was just
really?
me. And I'd had a weird incident with my afro, and that my mum had tried to cut it, and she got the one side too short, so she shaved the whole thing.
Okay.
So now I have a bald, like, afro head, and I'm singing my way into the faces of people who have not consented to this experience.
Did you
It was
ever
a lot
watch
of
like an
shock.
old person just slowly work their way out of the room?
To the mahjong room. And then I did, like, bars and cafes a bit, but I was always an imitator.
You
like,
have,
never.
but you have a musical family. Were they supportive of you?
No, my brothers consider me an over-singer. Even when they make records, I'm not allowed near them. I'm not allowed to sing on anything that they do.
What about your children and your husband? Do they
Also hate my singing.
Really?
It's a general...
And
it's
what
a general
it's
thing.
interesting because like my whole family hates my singing, but I can like admit I'm a bad singer.
Right.
Like, but it seems you're.
I feel I'm a good singer, but they don't feel that.
Do you think it's just like? Do you think you're just a little too in their face about it?
I did come from that school of like, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, like how many trills can I put on every single note?
Yeah.
It's not in fashion and nobody likes it.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Particularly
do
my
old people?
family.
Are old people?
I could try again.
You should try again.
Yeah.
The funny thing would be if they booked you as like a visiting author at an old person's home,
And then
you just sang instead.
Yeah. Why not?
They're like, wait a second, I like this.
Don't tempt me, Seth, 'cause that's... I'm getting
Can I
to that
ask
point.
the photo?
Yes.
This is a very striking photo, but is
Yes.
this like in line with you that you're like, I'm gonna give you the back of my head for this one?
Do you know what my teenage daughter said about that cover?
What?
She said, even your neck isn't that age anymore.
She thought you were bragging about your neck?
Isn't
Oh my
that harsh?
God. Yeah, it's very harsh.
15, that's what you get. I mean, I never imagined having myself on a book, but I actually love that photo, and I'm turning 50, and I thought,
It's a
wouldn't
great.
mind it.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's a great photo, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of this collection and all your books, and I can't believe you did it, and it wasn't that bad, right?
No, it was fine.
Okay, good. I'm glad you were here. You guys, this is Zadie Smith,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Dead and Alive is on sale tomorrow, October 28th, wherever you buy your books. So please support local and independent bookstores. Stick around. We'll be right back.